inaccurate facts. But...
And speaking of Austin Matthews, we are now going to God's team, the Toronto Maple Leafs, against Montreal Canadiens. Jimbo, who do you have taken the series of the original 6 teams?
So I think a lot of people like this one. There's a lot of nostalgia around this one. Just the fact that you have, like you said, some initial 6 teams playing. You got the Canadians and the Leafs, right? It doesn't really get any more Canadian than this. Unfortunately, Montreal is kind of a faker when it comes to the postseason here, right? I mean, such low amount of points. Obviously they managed to squeak their way in, but if they were in any other division, I fail to see that they would have made the playoffs. And there's such a big contrast here, as well as potential concerns around Carey Price. He's kind of been in and out this year. He hasn't been at his top of his game the last couple of years. I think I'd be silly not to give this one to Toronto. And I know that's what everyone's saying. I'd absolutely love to see Montreal take this. I think it'd be hilarious, and I think it would just be such a great story. Like this would, if any of the series are going to be just like surprises for upsets, this is the one. If the Canadiens beat Toronto, this would be the biggest upset of the playoffs, in my opinion. But yeah, I think obviously Montreal's still quite young, so I think this will be more of a learning year again, kind of like last year. But who knows, I think Montreal is a team that's very easy to brush aside, especially when they're playing, God's team and Austin Matthews. But yeah, I've got to give it to them. The only thing that I can think of that might hurt Toronto is their goaltending, right? Like maybe there could be on some unknowns, but Campbell's been so good. And I just think even if they have iffy goaltending, they have the front end to just blow past Montreal, even if they're letting in goals. So got to give it to, let's say, Toronto in... I'll give Montreal one win. Toronto in 5.
Wow.
I was going to say sweet, but I changed my mind.
Keep in mind, if Campbell doesn't do good, former Calgary Flame, David Riddick.
No, and I think Anderson's back now. He's been playing, so I think he'd be number 1 or 2, depending.
I saw maybe one post when Riddick did the bat flip when he won the shootout with Calgary. If he does that to beat Montreal, you best believe we'll see 300 posts about it. They might actually fly out Bautista so he can meet Riddick just for that moment. Jage, who you got in this one?
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a more one-sided one, so it definitely would be a big upset if Montreal were to win. It's the same thing as what James was saying. Goaltending-wise, that might be the only thing that helps Montreal out. If Carey Price can turn it on and play the best that he can. I mean, goalies have stolen playoff series before. Who better than Carey Price? And especially with Toronto's who should play in net. Campbell's playing well right now. Is he going to play well in the playoffs? How about Freddie Anderson? That could be the one thing, but I'm going to say Toronto in 6 because I just think Montreal is going to play a bit better than we expect them to, but I don't think they'll win.
Wow, Connor?
Man, when you think about this series and you get to think about Montreal versus Toronto, it's just so heavily one-sided towards the Leafs. But then again, how many times have the Leafs gone into a playoff series and expected to win and then just lost it?
That's what I'm scared about. That's why I said 6.
Right? Like, how many game 7s do I have to go to before they learn their lesson? Too many to count. Also, by the way, boys, happy anniversary to the 2013 Boston Game 7 against the Leafs. I love them, Leafs fans. But, I mean, when you look at the two teams, the Leafs are coming in completely healthy. Weber, Price are coming off of injury. Toffoli, Petry, Drouin, Anderson, Gallagher, they're all coming off of injury going into this playoff series. That being the case, right, part of me wants to just say Montreal in 7 just for the memes. But I can't. I'm actually going to say Leafs in 4. Montreal has lost 5 in a row going into this, and the Leafs are starting to ramp up. Montreal's not going to win a game.
Yeah, they have been brutal going into the final couple of weeks of the season, you're right. The final month of the season.
Bad. Yeah. I mean, think about it. The Calgary Flames could have been eliminated 2-3 weeks ago, and they were eliminated just 2 days ago.
Okay.
And Montreal only needed 1 point to do that. That's brutal.
That is brutal.
That being said, Austin, who you got?
I can definitely go back and forth and talk about, the Toronto improved defense with TJ Brody and Muzzin. And I can talk about, Montreal's young, hungry core of Romanov and Cole Caufield, one of the future greatest goal scorers of all time. But, I think with an easy story, I'll explain my pick. Every year, James and I make a bet on the Toronto Maple Leafs. I always bet that Toronto will win in the first round.
No. It's not just the first round. It's only when they're playing Boston, too, because they always happen to play them in round 1.
Every year I buy James lunch, but this year he does not want to take up the bet again.
No, I'm taking... The bet is not necessarily... It's not defined by round 1. It's defined by playing Boston. So
James, when you said... James, if you said not... The moment you said not round 1, I was like, that was a sign from God. Toronto's winning. God
James
picked his hockey
yeah.
team. Yeah, I could feel the fear. So I'm going to put my money on Toronto. They're going to beat Montreal, and then they're going to lose in the final to Boston, and I'm not going to get a free lunch again.
Oh, if they win the cup, I'm deleting all TSN, Sportsnet, everything. I'm throwing my phone in a river, just living in the mountains all summer.
But,
Dude,
I do want to credit.
You'll never hear that.
Toronto,
all year.
if Toronto doesn't sweep the series, I can see Montreal with their young guys sweeping it. I can see Suzuki, Caufield, and Romanov really making a push.
Sweeping it.
You think Montreal could sweep?
It's a sweep
No.
either way. Whoever wins the first game wins the series. That's where my money's going.
Wow.